Um, I took a couple of weeks off, from our Sunday night calls, and I always preach to you guys diversification. We got to definitely diversify ourselves and make sure we have multiple streams of income coming in. We've dabbled, we're into the crypto space, and we got some other things going on with the precious metals and gold and silver. But real estate has still always been my passion. I put the St. Lucia resort on hold for a minute because we was dealing with so much of this stuff here. And now that we are resolving this issue, this is the final chapter, we'll be able to go back into the St. Lucia resort and really, focus on that resort, um, which is our ultimate goal. We also are looking into them. Should be sharing with you shortly. And Melinda, you'll appreciate this. My travel company that I was involved with, a company called Surge. Some of you may know my good friend Chris Coakley, the CEO of the company called Surge. Him and I are talking about doing international expansion into St. Lucia. Um, so I am going to be looking to expand our flip that house property back into the travel business as travel industry as well. And again, we'll be discussing that at a future time, but that's up and coming. Um, but one thing about real estate, guys, and about is and the most key thing about real estate is relationships. If you haven't learned anything, you got to create relationships, especially when it comes to financing and funding, because without money you can't do anything. And money, I mean, having the right relationships with the right bankers and right institutions and the right um, networks can save you a lot of headaches and save you a lot of money. Um, and I've always prided myself on creating great relationships. I have a ton of banks I deal with, a ton of insurance agents and realtors and different professionals in the real estate realm, so that when things do happen, you got someone you can bounce things off of. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to surround yourself with the right people in the right categories in the right areas that you want to do business in. And recently, we with this project we just embarked upon, with my cabinet and flooring guy, um, shared with me this relationship that he had in the financing. He was saying, D, we tend to go to these hard money banks and get things. And he says, and sometimes just from lack of knowledge and lack of not knowing, we are paying way too much money for things, or for our funding sources. And if we create the right relationships, we can we can definitely diminish some of those expenses that we have, or some of those carrying costs that we have. And and then, like I said, it's all about creating a relationship that where it's not a one and done, especially if you're going to do this industry or do this business. Some of you are part-time, some of you are looking to do full-time, some of you are dabbling in it, and some of you, this is what you do for a living. um, so no matter what your passion may be, and what your goal may be, this is something, when it comes to funding, you want to make sure you start creating those relationships and have that available to you. So my good friend Kobe introduced me to the gentleman you're going to hear from tonight, and I really had an opportunity to sit with him, um, him and his team. Actually, two or three times already. We've got two of our investors, got them credits, and I really got a chance to talk to him. And I really like, not. I mean, we can do loans anywhere. I mean, I've been lending myself for 30 years. I know the ins and outs of lending. But I also understand and I can appreciate um someone who's got my best interest at heart, not just because he's trying to make a dollar, but because he understands the plight, he understands the journey, he understands the struggle that we as minorities go through. Um, he represents a institution that has set aside some funds, I'm gonna let him share all that. But dealing with minority businesses and personal lines of credit and business loans and things of that nature, and they can realm from a startup to a you can you know make a major conglomerate going on. So this institution can, they can yield up, and he's not looking for a one and done. He understands relationships. He's looking to build relationships long term, way beyond your initial deal. Looking to build a relationship, a friendship, a partnership, if you will, and back whatever it is that you are trying to do. And from my experience, I've been in this industry for 40 years. And some of my banking relationships go back 30 years. And it's good like when you can pick up a phone and somebody knows your character, they know who you are, they know what you stand for, and you can simply pick up a phone and say, "Hey, I'm looking at this building. I need to put together $500,000," and they say, "When do you need it?" And it's been an honor to have those sort of relationships. And as I'm looking uh, to kind of settle down and no, we never retire. I guess I would never. I mean, I tried retirement. That just doesn't work for me. But I will be more of just consulting and really sitting down with individuals, and helping them, assisting them. And if you don't get nothing else from me, you truly got to get and understand. I want to introduce you to the right people that can lead you in the right direction with whatever it is that you are trying to do. So this gentleman, like as I said, we've met now going on 2 3 weeks. He's already, he's been everything he said he can do, he does. If he can't do it, he's gonna say I can't do it. If he doesn't understand it, he's gonna say I don't understand it, but I'll get the right people who understands it. He's been steady, ready, forthcoming, and I test him. Trust me, because a lot of things I asked him, I already knew the answer to, and I want to see how he was going to answer it. And he was very forthcoming, and that's just the little things that I do before I even introduce anybody to my network. I'm first going to make sure that they are worthy of you guys' time and worthy of you guys' business. Um, and I believe this gentleman and the institution he represents is. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mr. Sergio Guzman. Sergio. Um, he represents he comes from Bank Valley National, and they have a nice division, set up that he's a branch manager here in locally in the I want to say Marston, not Marston. Sorry, what's your branch? What town is that?
It's the town is in Mountainside, New Jersey.
Mountainside, New Jersey, off of 22. And but I believe Valley is. Are you guys nationwide, Valley, Serge?
We're actually very regional in the Northeast, but we have expanded. We're like in the Midwest, Chicago, California. We also in Alabama and Florida, New
Excellent,
Jersey, and New York.
excellent. So, what about the Midwest, like Texas and all that?
No, we don't have a footprint there yet, but it's actually funny that you were talking about relationships and putting the person in the right direction. So again, my name is Sergio. As a service excellence manager. Prior to this, I was a retail business specialist for Valley Bank. So my role as the small business specialist it was to actually it's to build the bridge between the retail branches and also in our business banking division, right? Because a lot of times you go to the bigger banks and they have a business specialist already there. So Valley's but what they try to do a twist on it was is working with the community, not so much as just trying to bring in business for business sake, right? And so what we did was introduce ourselves into the community. I was working out of South Orange and Maplewood area, and that went great. But one of the things that was great about it is that I did get a chance to engage with other small business owners, and then the word of mouth came about, and the person that so just to bring it back to Texas, one of my customers that they came in, well, one of the business accounts that we opened was from a referral, and he's also in real estate, but he's also he's like a manager for like a hedge fund, and he touched base with me this like past week, and I got him in touch with one of our investments because he works for the hedge fund, because the hedge fund, like every business, there's just different scales, right? So they need funding, not for purchases, but they just need the everyday. But it's a large day to day for employees. They got a big, uh, a big thing going there. They need about $10 million. So I got them involved. They're working. They're still in the mix. They're still in that that preliminary where they're trying to see how much and how long it's going to take to get that for them. But it starts from just like that. It's organic, right? You want to make sure that when you speak to someone, and thank you so much, Dwayne, for giving me that introduction. I don't know if I mean, this is a great introduction, and I appreciate that, right? And my biggest thing has always been is to try to get the customers to the right people, try to get them the right solution, right? Whether it be loans or whether it be just savings, whether it be checking, whatever it is. And if we don't have it, I'm going to make sure that I point them in the right direction with other services that we do have third party affiliates that we can help, like with business planning, those type of things. But I'm very thankful for the introduction. And one of the things, and the reason why the RBS program was there, the business specialist program, and it still is thriving, is because of the community. When COVID happened, a lot of small businesses asked for that PPP loans, right? It was needed because everyone had to stay in, so they needed to fund everything else like rents, mortgages, employees, those type of things. So that money was used for that. And Valley was one of the very few banks that actually funded those small businesses in the community. And so we opened up a lot of accounts, and it was a big success. And so one of the I guess like the results of it is those community loans that we were talking about before, right? And I think it's one of the rare things that you see because a lot of banks will just give you a loan and it's specific to one thing or another, right? If you're going to get a line of credit just for overdrafts, they'll give you that to in case that you overdraw. But then if you have a business loan, it has to be for business and they're monitoring that. Where our community lending loans is it's for your business and you do what you want. It's kind of like you do your own thing. You're the business owner. You know how to spend your own money, right? But we make sure that you qualify, of course. We make sure that everything that everything that when we do a presentation, we talk to like Chavez, he asks you all the questions that's needed to make sure that it's a viable application. I'm trying to think the community lending loan, there's a lot of requirements, but uh, most specifically is how long you've been in business. A lot of times, small businesses, the person that's in charge been in business for 10, 15 years, but they just maybe had 2 or 3 years actually on their own tax returns stating that that's what they did. So we look at that and other banks probably will get rejected right away. And even if we're not able to do it right there, we have a pathway towards that, right? We may do some kind of counter offers. We may do an alternative, maybe business credit cards, but we start the process. And that's the thing, like what I bring back to you is that it's important that the bank that's just not gonna push you away and say no. But with this bank, it's a really relationship based. So it's kind of like this is like where we start with the seed, and then right there we just start watering, and then we can grow from there.
Awesome.
But of course, I can answer any questions a little bit about the community lending loan, but other things. But I wanted just to bring everything back to what you said was about that relationship and having a trusted advisor, which is very important nowadays. We can get better rates somewhere online. We can get certain things online a lot quicker and easier, but I think the one of the drawbacks from it is that you can't get someone on the phone, right? You have my phone. I have other businesses reaching out to me, and that's what I guess that's where the added value is.
Right.
Okay.
Let me just interject what you're just sharing, Sergio, and that's extremely important. Having that go-to person, having that on-site person that you can deal with at that institution that can guide you accordingly, because you understand, you know the rules of your lending, of your lend, no, of the people you're representing, and it kind of gives you that break, that bridge, that go-to. And as you said, sometimes we go right online. And, with today's world, everything is online. We should go right to online and do the price comparisons, and sometimes you'll get an eighth of a rate better or a quarter of a rate better, but then you have no idea what you're dealing with, and then you get what I call bait and switch. They throw a low number, you take it, and you get to all the way to the end, and then they come back, they counter, and you with something completely different, but because you never spoke to nobody. Um, so Sergio and his team. Um, he was very transparent with us. We asked for a bigger line. They didn't grant that because of the time or the credit was already extended. But they, like you said, they countered. They're trying to create the relationship, and I like that, because one, after and being in business myself, going on 40 years, I understand. I know exactly what a $3,000 initial line can turn into a $300,000 line in a short period of time as you develop that relationship with that lender. So what we're going to do real quick is I want to open it up to you guys. We got different people here with different things, different with different wants and desires. And if you have any questions for Serge, maybe something you're trying to do yourself, that he can address. I can tell you, what I've been looking for. We're discussing with them lines of credit. We discussed with them personal loans that we've gotten done. We got business credit cards that we've gotten done with them. We're actually talking about we're setting up construction loans with them now. So I'm going the full gamut with them. So I have to, have a understanding of the bank, but more importantly, an understanding of his team. I like the people that's involved with the bank. So I'll open the door. If you got a question for Sergio, unmute your line, ask your question. He's here to answer any question you may have. Any questions?
Hey, Dwayne, it's Steve. How are you?
Hey, Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Good, thank you. What is the name of the bank or the institution he's with?
I'm with the Valley National Bank.
Oh, Valley.
That's the official charter. You can go to FDIC.org is there, but it's short. It's just short Valley Bank now.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Yes,
It's
Steve.
a, it's a, I like to call it the Goldilocks of banks because it's a regional bank. So it's a mid-sized bank, right? Where you still get all the amenities of like the bigger banks, like the Chases and things like that. We do have a team. And it's scalable all the way up to hundred millions of dollars, right? But we also, like we said, we cater. That's actually our bread and butter. We have I think it was like over $60,000 that we have in underserved communities that we have as book of business for Valley Bank in general, right? So then that's our main focus and our drive is to actually go out there and tell our small business owners that hey, we can still cater to you, right? When other banks are not, right? Now, like that community lending piece that I was talking to you about earlier, it's preferably for, the things that are everyday, like your payroll, inventory, covering receivables, right? You're doing like if you have just unexpected expenses, we're talking about the floods, right? And you got some water damage, you gotta fix something up real quick. That's our niche, right? That's what we do. When it comes to like, for expansion, those things, and there's certain dollar amount, we may bump it up to the next to a next tier, right? But that's where we're at with that. And
And one more question for you. What if we're not in a state that you're in?
that's actually another, well, just going back to it. So I've opened customers accounts in Georgia, but the nearest branch is in Alabama, right? In Atlanta, going to Birmingham's about almost 3 hours away. So it's never, I mean, at least for my part, from my experience, it is a challenge because they are outside the bank. But if you have a phone and you have a Zoom and there's a relationship, we can accommodate to what we need, right? I mean, it's sometimes it just depends on if it makes sense, right? So if you're in another town that's not nearby and you can't do these things, that might become more challenging. It might be a hindrance, right? But if there's a way that we can work together and find a way to get to what you need, I mean, it works out. I mean, we have, like I said, I have personal accounts, not me, but I have personal relationships with business owners that are in Georgia. I also have, like I said, he's in Texas, right? And we don't have a footprint in Texas, but and the person that he's working with is here in Jersey. So it just really depends because it's just a lot of things you could do nowadays online, right?
Okay, great. Thank you.
And Steve, you definitely tapped on a very important item there, and as Sergio said, in today's day and age with Zooms and every banking's online, loan, everything is with the e-signs, docu-signs. It's the days of the meet and greet. You really is really over. I mean, Sergio and I we've met 3 times personally, but I'm old school. I kind of like the belly to belly. I mean, I get a good feel from people when I meet them. And Zoom is a little impersonal. You see them, but it's a little impersonal. Um, I think when you're with someone and you get a chance to really, shake their hand and look in their eyes and kind of feel their movements, you get a good feel. For me, at least I do. Um, but once the relationship established, I mean, well, it's easy. I mean, you set your online account and you're rock and rolling, and you need him. He's a phone call away. Pick up the phone. Hey, sir, let's jump on a quick Zoom. And he gets to read people that are no matter what part of the world you're in. That's handled. You know what I mean? So I plan to keep things quick relationships I got with them, even though I'll be in St. Lucia, but I'll be able to deal through my stuff. Anything I'm dealing with in Jersey or dealing with in the United States. I've been banking with Bank of America probably 35. I was a Bank of America since there was Fleet Bank over 30, 40 years. But the big banks, it's your number. It's very impersonal. And I did have personal bankers I dealt with, and early on, but there's only but so much in today, and especially today's day and age, there's only but so much they can do. And then I really didn't. I didn't. I don't get that feel of, you know. That warm fuzzy feelings that, hey, the old days when you walk in, everybody knows your name, and you know what I mean. Like my credit union is like that. Everybody knows you. Everybody knows my credit union. That's the kind of feel I got from Sergio. Everybody in the bank was saying, "Hell, I mean, I only been there 3 times. They're calling me my first name." You know what I mean? And small bank, and but it gives you that credit union feeling, but you got that real banking relationship. So so that's I just want to add that. Any other questions, guys? Unmute your line.
I just want to add to that. Customers, like for me, it's it's always very personal because I know I try to put myself in the shoes of the small business owner, or I put myself in the person itself, and I try to try to my own ways to try to help them out as best as I can, right? I've had customers that are from Honduras and they've called me and they say, "Hey, I need to do a transfer because of this. I'm buying this over there. Could you?" Because of that relationship, I know them, then I can get consents over the phone and do my due diligence, of course, and then I can do that for them, right? Where some, there are, if you don't build that relationship with a banker, then that's where it's like that becomes a challenge more so than not. You don't disagree with that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. Any other questions, guys? Star 6 unmute.
Yeah, this is Jackie. Of course, you have to have an account at the bank. Um, but if you wanted to apply for a HELOC, what would that entail?
Yeah, well, I'm not the home equity specialist, right? But we do have experts there. I can always get in touch, have someone to get in touch with you to answer all those questions. But in general, uh, from what I've seen from my own experience, if a customer wanted to do a home equity and they're not in the home, they could still do it, especially if it's a home equity, right? They can do different types of appraisals, those type of things, like they have the remote. I think you mentioned that before. You talking about the digital appraisal.
Mhm.
Um, but as far as I know, I don't want to give you 100%, but I'm confident that it's not the biggest issue. The challenge is always just trying to coordinate and trying to figure out what's going to be best for you. If it's a home equity or if it's going to be a home loan, and then they got to see all that. But we have a digital platform as well. So that's why I don't think it's going to be an issue because we do have uh digital mortgage lenders. They're just on they're like sales online. So they do that online. They go and they're licensed everywhere. So I don't think that's going to be an issue or a problem. But I would love to have an opportunity to have you speak with my specialist.
So, hey, Jack, let me just say, let me jump in. I think your question was, do you have to have a line, do you have to have a an account with them, correct? Well, and
No, so no, so yeah, I got into a tangent, but to go back, yes, you don't need an account. No, I mean, there's always an opportunity there because if you're looking to get an additional discount, we do offer discounts if you are a business customer. So it's they give you that discount by rate, and usually it's about a 1/4% from the rate that they quote you.
which is also going to add on is it's a benefit to be a customer because your line will be tied right to your account. And that's what we did. We set up a couple of investors, of our investors, and we opened up accounts there, and the lines they're getting is tied right to their account, and they're getting discounts because it's tied to their account and things of that nature. But it is not was not a requirement of them. But it made sense to actually become one and create that relationship. Does that make sense?
It does. I appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hey, Dwayne, Steve again. Are are we looking at this as extending credit, or are we looking at do they also offer like startup money for a business, or where are we at with that?
Serge, you want to answer that?
Trying to unmute. So, Steve, to your question about startup money, if you need like seed money, we have a division, we have a department for that. We have our small business division that does that. They do the seed money. But if you have already been established for like a year and you just need some working capital, like I mentioned, for those everyday needs, that's we could do that up to $100,000. Well, it's from five to $100,000. Right. And of course, it depends also. There's a lot of different factors that come into play. Of course, how much you're bringing in and all these things, right? The annual revenue, the sales revenues, etc. But we can help you with your working capital. But the community lending piece won't do the startup. And we have a different department for that.
And Sergio, Steve is a flooring guy. I think he does a lot of floors for us. Nice, he does a great job, and he's been around for quite a few years. So but he would be very similar to what I got for Steve, my buddy Steve. It would be very similar to him if he was looking for himself. Um, Sergio, can you talk to them a little bit about this community lending? That's one of the things that caught my attention, and one of the reasons why I got you on the call tonight, because you mentioned you guys have a division, or you're dealing with as we all know, guys, and sometimes the lending for minorities is a little different for others, and and we're all in this world long enough to know that. So when you said that you had something and without going deep into it, but talk a little bit about what does that mean when you talk about this community lending and you got things set for minority business.
Well, no, just the minority loan. It's like I said, it started back there. But again, like you were mentioning, you hit it right on the nail. It's just that the lending is it's difficult for minority-owned businesses to get that leg up, right? And so that community lending loan doesn't require a lot of what you would typically want from a loan. They'll need you to at least to have 3 years worth of tax statements. They want to see a lot more documentation. They just provide a lot more documentation. Whereas the community lending loan goes by your credit, right? So they're looking around 680 is the FICO score for all the owners, right? Plus the comparable credits. So what comparable credits mean is that you would typically let's say you have a $30,000 overall balances that you've had in your credit history, then it's like, well, we know that you can manage $30,000. So that's like somewhere you would look at, if not more, right? The other thing, of course, is we talked about the length of time, right? So if you've been in the industry, but specifically for what that loan is for, and you've been in there for 5 years, but you've only done 1 year's worth of taxes, some other banks will overlook that and tell you you got to wait, but we can still look at that, right? Because you've had the actual industry experience, right? Not just tax return experience, right? So they look at that as well. So the loan amounts, like I said, it's $100,000, right? Typically $100,000, it's not always given because someone has to be in business for somewhere around 5 years, right? Because they have to see that. Again, it's non-collateralized, so that's why they have to look at the amount of time you've been in business, to ensure that you're capable of paying that back, I guess, right? To mitigate the risk, they look for that. But our typical loan amounts is usually for customers that's been in business for up to like 3 years, for $25,000. And not even always, because I've done loans of 50,000 and $60,000 with customers who've been in business for about 3 years, but only been banking with us for like less than a year, right? Because their business demanded it, and it made sense. They had the good credit, so we were able to do it, right? So it's everything that we do when we put in is on a case by case basis, right? But it's specifically driven to uh, drive like the drive lending for our community. I mean, we also cater to women in business, minority-owned businesses, right? We have a women in business checking account. That's one of our flagship accounts, to be quite frank, and it's actually one of the better ones because of the one of the things that I enjoy, because I've had the opportunities to go to, are these networking events that Valley presents to women in business in the community, and not just like in Mountainside, but we'll go to Fairfield, and we'll have an event there for everyone that's a women in business owned customer, and we'll invite them, right? They're in the network. And when they're there, they see all of our our officers, lending officers. We also have people that are in the community, so they also provide information for other things that they're looking for. But it's a great platform to actually engage and network, right? Again, it's like going back to that building that relationship.
Awesome. Yeah, and that caught my attention. I really like that. Because there's definitely a difference of lending and different guidelines and different things from minorities into other ethnicities. Any other questions, guys? This is a real talk conversation, and you may be looking.
But those are just lines. We also do like term loans. So they usually could be all the way up to like 7 years or something like that. They're fixed rates, so you don't have to, you don't have to worry about, the fluctuation of rates, because like everything else that's been going on in the markets, right? That there's a little bit of uncertainty. So if you wanted to fix a rate, we can definitely do that. And then of course, because it's fixed for the life of that loan. Okay. Um, and usually people like to use that to consolidate that, although that's not what they like to use it for. Like that's not what the banks usually want to hear, but usually it's for equipment, right? Because small businesses need it. If you're an ice cream shop and you have an ice cream machine that went down, that's going to cost you a few $1,000s, and you know that if that's all you're going to want to fix, then they fix that amount. So these are good things. Renovation, right? So those are the opportunities that with this community lending loans that we can present to you guys. And again, I think it's one of the very rare products that other banks don't have the privilege of offering their customers, but we do.
And what about professionals? You have entrepreneurs, you have some accountants, we got some bookkeepers, we got therapists, we got different professionals. Um, how do you how and most of them are women too. How do you look at them?
Well, like you said, the industries are a little different because every industry have their different wants and their different needs, for day to day. Dentists, their chairs might be, might be out of date. They might need TVs to offer the customer a relaxed space while they're getting they're getting their teeth fixed. So, and accountants, they need software or marketing, those type of things. So we do cater to and not just real estate, but all industries, right?
Awesome, awesome. All
One
right,
more thing, Dwayne.
yes, Steve.
Uh, is it, am I understanding that you're doing for personal? I mean, what if your business has its own credit? Will you extend the line to the business?
It is personally guaranteed because it's unsecured. It definitely is personally guaranteed, even if it's under the business. It still has to be personally guaranteed. So it's kind of my understanding is that like everything else that you put in, they want to make sure you're also in, right? So it's kind of like a fail safe for the banks, and then in that sense.
Okay, thank you.
But it would be, Steve, it would be a trade for your business. So your business will still be the borrower. You'll just be guaranteeing that loan. So the bill will be
Correct.
it'll be a good trade reference for your business.
Correct.
Perfect, thank you.
Good question, by the way. Any other questions, guys?
Now, just to reiterate, I'm very knowledgeable of it, but I'm not the expert as well, right? We have loan officers that they can I can give you what I'm giving you is kind of broad strokes, but it's actually getting that conversation with our loan officer to give you they'll kind of ask you the right questions so that they can figure out what's that loan's going to look like for that customer. All right.
Hmm. Yep. Any last questions, guys? We're coming up to the 9 o'clock hour, so we'll have to close it out unless few more questions. Uh, any last questions for Sergio or Marcel? And I will just say this. As Sergio says, I've met with them 3 times, and with different for personal lines of credit, business lines of credit, small business stuff. We're meeting tomorrow for construction loans, and they have a different department, different relationships for all of these. Sergio is my go-to person, but then he does the introduction to whoever that be handling that department. And it just goes back to the relationship. It goes back to you having someone on the inside that can kind of guide you accordingly, who's a mouthpiece for you. That's where the relationship comes in at. Um, Someone that can speak on your behalf, speak to your character, and because I guarantee behind the scenes, there's always. I mean, we lend. I've worked for many lending institutions. A lot of times, people loans come in and it's referred for somebody else. It's like, how well do you know that person? It's a lot of loans are based off of relationships. Um, Whether you want to believe that or not. So I would say to you, it's this is a, uh, this is not an advocate to I'm not, whether you do accounts with them or don't do accounts with them. It's really irrelevant. I just really really want you guys to meet Sergio, and just in case you had uh, thought about at any point in given. I know a couple of you guys are work full time, but a lot of you do your own, you're doing your little things, little business on the side, and this can really assist you. And even if you're in your own thing, you can do you can do a personal loan or a personal line, consolidate some stuff. It's just yeah, it's always good to have a personal banker to deal with. A lot of my relationships are hard money lenders because that's what we deal with in flipping houses. But now I mean, like I created my relationship in St. Lucia. I got a bank, and it's nice to be able to put my St. Lucian bank with my United States bank. So when you're trying to do things internationally, You got two bankers that can speak to your character, speak to your, on your behalf, on one side of the coin to one side of the island to another. So that's all I'm saying to you guys. Just just keep your options open, and it may not be what you need right now, but it may be something you need in the future. This is just a relationship, or a contact, if you will, that can help further any financial goals or endeavors that you may or may not have. Sergio, on that note, I want to say to you, tomorrow, can we do the 12 o'clock? Can you set the thing up for 12 o'clock for the construction loan? I'll have the parties on at noon. So we can, I was going to call you in the morning, but now I got you on. So 12 o'clock, I've already got it lined up with my people for the construction loan. 12 o'clock works for everybody. So you get your people on, and we can take that from there.
Yeah, first thing, I'll make sure that they're on board at 12 o'clock.
All right, send me your 12
Yeah.
o'clock link. I'll send over to them, and then we'll make that
All right.
happen. Anybody else got any last questions?
Do we have contact information for Sergio? You want to put that in the chat, or how can we get in touch with you?
I guess I could put that.
Type your number in the chat.
One of the things that I pride myself in doing, I mean, and I hope that your bank, if you do have a personal relationship or just a relationship with your banker, is that you want them to be your advocate. Because a lot of times deals will get done if they're advocating for you, right? At least that's from my experience, that we will work hard to try to get whatever it is that you're looking for, whether it be lending, whether it be something else. Because they see numbers, right? Underwriters, they don't know anyone here, and they don't know anyone that I know. But when we do we have to do a package for the underwriter. We have to explain why it is that we're doing, why we feel that, or not even feel, but why we think that it's going to be a great deal, right? So we have to be your advocate. So one of the, like we said, go back to relationships important. And if it's not going to be with Valley, but if it's with someone else, then I hope that you can get that from them. But I'm gonna put my information here now.
And Steve, I got to call you too. Our project for flooring. We'll be ready for flooring in a little bit. We'll discuss that with you.
Okay.
Sir, do you guys do anything international?
When you say international, what do you mean by that?
Other countries?
Like if we have an office offshore or something like that?
Mhm.
No, we don't. I mean, we do have we
Well,
have
not so much offices. I don't care about offices. Do you lend? We got a relationship with a customer, long-term relationship, and the customer wants to build something out of the country. Would you guys entertain that?
I never want to say no, but I know because I know we have a division that does work with international, that works international. We have an international private banking, right? So we may have that. I can look into it and get you the answer tomorrow
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, cool. Guys, I hope this has provided some value to you, and to your financial needs. Whether you're looking to do a consolidation of some credit cards or just debt, personal. Some of us, we work full time, but we have our little business on the side. Um, like Steve was saying, it could be some type of startup where you can utilize one of our people, and she's really she's one of our investors, and she's now starting up with us, and they were able to give her a little something to start up with. So you can, you got some things you can bargain with. One of the other guys I brought to them has been to his point, has been he's been an electrician for 30, 40 years, but really didn't have business stuff set up. I'm helping him get his business stuff set up. they're helping him with a business card and all that, and it was because he has the years of experience. And that's things that, and I know he's personally banked with Bank of America for almost 15 years, and they would not offer him a business credit card. And so stuff like things like that is what I'm getting at. So he just posted his information in the chat. So if you need to reach him, or if you lose it, you feel free to reach out to me and I'll forward it to you as well. Um, but from my experience so far, and I've dealt with lines of credit with him. I've dealt with personal lines with him. Now we're going to be dealing with this construction loan. One of the things that led me to Valley is before I even knew Sergio. Um, as you guys know, I'm a distributor for modular homes, for Westchester Modular Homes, and Westchester, they're a huge company, $1 billion company. And they deal with Valley National. They have a special division. They have a special thing with the lending with Valley, and that they're able to offer to some of their end buyers, um, which I love. And now we're going to be working on moving that to us as well. With a lot of things that we could and they're located in Westchester, but the big boys sits on some type of board, but they create a nice relationship with Valley that funds a lot of their deals. And what I mean by that is when you're buying a modular home, Valley would send in a letter of LOI, letter of intent, to Westchester, and Westchester will actually build the house from that letter, from that LOI, build the house, deliver the house, and set the house without receiving one penny. Only thing they got is this letter of intent from Valley that, yeah, we're gonna pay this once this house is delivered. Every bank I talk to, every bank, from Hard Money to Bank of America, none of them will do this. None of them. So when my guy, when my I'm a distributor for them, but my contact person at the modular company said, Dwayne, you need to create a relationship. And this is before I even met Sergio. Told me this 2 years ago. Valley, and I didn't know no valleys at the time. And I actually convinced one of my hard money lenders to do the same thing after I was able to show them, mimic the mimic what Valley did for them. And I got one of my hard money guys to actually do it. Matter of fact, that's when I built one of my first modular homes. They actually got them, and that came from a relationship. It came from because I had flipped about 10, 15 houses. They was my lender for all those houses, and they knew me. So they knew they was comfortable with putting up the letter of intent, and and securing and guaranteeing that the funds will be there. And that's how I built the house in East Orange in North Burnett. So again, that came from pure relationship. That this my lender never did that before, and Westchester's never took it from another bank. They only take it from FDIC owned banks. Valley's an FDIC bank. My hard money lenders are not FDIC, so the hard money lender would not even has never taken it from anybody else other than the FDIC. But because of the relationship with Westchester and the house that I did with them and the relationship I had with the lender, we were able to pull it through and make it happen. So, this goes back to the whole thing of establishing relationships. And so Sergio's been, the short time we know each other, it's definitely been a pleasure. You definitely have been everything you said you're going to do, you have done to this point. Um, Again, like I said to you earlier, I don't take lightly of who I share my network with. Very cautious because of who we do, who we introduce people, who we introduce them to. Um, but I do feel that you represented yourself, with integrity. You represented yourself, like you said here, what you don't know, you'll find out for them. And I've experienced that firsthand with you. And I do know you have the relationships and have the teams, and and I know that you are an advocate for that small entrepreneur. And so for that I thank you. And we definitely look forward to doing a lot of business with you, in Valley, and really making some things come to fruition. And hopefully we can help some of our investors do the same. We had a few people on this call. We just resumed it, but we have hundreds of people in the program. Everybody will get the playback of this. We have a lot of folks that's always everybody's looking for financing, especially in the real estate arena. Everybody's looking for financing because you can't do anything without funding. So we appreciate that. All right, guys, thank you all for plugging in tonight. We appreciate each and every one of you. I did record this. If you want to play back, just let me know. I'll post it into our groups, but if you want, I'll send it to you directly. It is good. It is great information, and I know it may not be today, but you don't know what's going to come up tomorrow. It's going to require you to have some fun, and you'll sit back and say, "Oh, I remember that guy Sergio," and hopefully you'll be able to take advantage of his services. So appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night. This webinar and conference call is officially over. Everybody have a good
Good
night.
night. We
All right,
appreciate you
thank
too,
you,
night.
Dwayne.
Dwayne.
Appreciate you,
Thank
man.
you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you,
Good night.
Dwayne. Good night.